you on my side?
Mute me and then maybe you won't get the feedback.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. So, okay, it sounds like this is working. So let's try it this way.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we're going to start a video on how to set up a presentation. So whenever we go meet with sellers, we always want to present to them, and we want to create a compelling argument so that when they ask us questions and we really want to show them why their house is worth X dollars, we can show them all the reasons to do so. So we start with 3 things that we're going to do. One being is we're going to set up comps and we're going to show them the comparables for the neighborhood. So we'll do that in a second and walk through that process. And we always want to find comps that are going to be favorable to our calls, because when we present, we want to show that we're not making as much profit as we are. We don't want to go crazy. We just want to adjust the, be conservative with our ARV and be liberal with our renovation costs, because basically what we're doing is we're not being aggressive with it, because we don't want to show the best case scenario. We want to really be conservative and show potential worst case scenario. That way we have the ability to look like we're not getting rich, which we usually aren't. But if we can do that, then it makes a lot of logical sense why the numbers will work. So going into this, Matt, can you see my screen on your side?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So first step, we're going to go into the MLS, and let's start with that, because that is where we're going to find these comps that we want to use. And I'm going to put you down here. Let me, if you can't hear me. And so let's pop into the matrix. Essentially, I've already put our address in. We're going to go a half-mile radius like we normally do. I went about 500 days back, because when we're doing comps for the purpose of what we're trying to do, we want to make sure we could use comps that are 2 years old. No one's going to care, because we can explain the markets went up, and it's not really a big deal. So in general, they don't usually look at the details. We need something to show them. What's really important to us, though, is that we have a kind of small house. It's only about 1,100 square feet. So what's pretty important is that we have other small houses. So we'll go 700 to 1,200 square feet. We really don't want to see anything above that, because that would be a much higher comp. And based on that, we'll start looking for the comps that solve. So we think this is about a 215. So what I'll usually do is take about 10 to 15K off. What I'd love to find is comps that are going to be a little more in the ballpark of about 195 to 205, so that we can get about 10K off, and be much more on the conservative side. So we always do, when we do our comps, we always move this over a little bit. We always start with adjusting close price and getting the highest close price to the top. In this scenario, we want to go past the highest one and really look for the slightly better comps. Let's see if we can move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, maybe we can. There we go. Got it. That thing was driving me crazy. So go back to close price. We'll look for this stuff right here. So once we pick our comps, and that's what we're getting ready to do now. So obviously we don't want these comps that are super high. We have some really high comps up in here. So we probably want to stay away from those. Come down. I mean, yeah, so we'll come right down to look right in this area right here. I think we've seen this 212, and it was a pretty good comp. The 209, 203, let's see what they look like. The 212 will definitely make the cut. We already seen this comp. It's our exact house. It looks a lot like our house. It is in pretty good shape, if not renovated. Let's take a quick look. It's coming up. So let's see what the inside. So we can see it's in really good shape. The inside's very nice. Updated kitchen. House itself, it definitely passes an update, but not as updated as nice as we will have it. But at the same time, one thing that we have a problem with on ours is that we won't be able to create a really nice open layout that we usually like. So with that in mind, we're going to have to reduce the comp. That's how we got to 215. This is also a 311, so this comp really is inspiring and feels pretty good for us. So we'll save that one. It's a good comp. Not totally good for what we're trying to do, but works. And let's see if we can hopefully find some other properties that are 209 minus 7, so that's about 200. See what this looks like. Again, I mean, this is, we could use this. This could definitely pass as a, renovated comp. Most of the time, we don't even have to show inside pictures. And I'll show you what we do in order just to be like, look, fully renovated, 209 minus 7. It's just they only want to see details, right? We don't have to go crazy. It's out on the market 165 days. We can definitely talk to them about that. So we'll probably use that one. And let's see what Oak Avenue looks like. So Oak Avenue actually is renovated. So this is a pretty interesting comp because it was 203 minus 10, and it really is truly renovation. I mean, based on what I'm seeing on the outside, it looks like it is. Yeah, so this is fully renovated. So this is a pretty low comp, and it's in great shape. Let's see why. Let's figure out why, because now I'm actually interested. Besides what we're doing, I'm more interested in why this comp's so low. It's a 321. It's 1,132 square feet. Basement, yes. Fully improved outside entrance. 195 days on the market. Try to get 240 for it. Not sure. I mean, this house, there must be something going on with it because maybe it's just really small or weird laid out. I'm not sure, but this is a super low comp. So this really does the job of what we're trying to create. It also does the job of, potentially scaring the shit out of me because, I mean, I'm looking at it saying, oh, wow, this is actually a bad comp. Now, I do happen to know Oak Avenue is probably not as good as our street. So this is perfect for what we're doing, these three comps. So when we save these three, we'll take and just go down here to refine and keep those three. And then we're going to put those in an agent gallery, or we're going to print them out page per page. As we're going, I'm going to print these as we speak because we actually need these for an appointment we're doing today. So this is not a test. This is real life. So we go agent gallery is usually how we'll go about it. Let's see what that looks like. We got agent gallery. So I don't know if we can, let's see if we can fit all these on one page or not. So we got that on 2. So that's cutting it off when we print it. So I probably will go ahead and print these all separately. Let's see how we do that. And to agent gallery, multi-line gallery, office, full agent. Let's see, we'll do it that way potentially. So the reason we're going to do full agent on this one, and crap, that's going to be the same thing. That's 3 pages for each one. I really don't want to do 3 pages. I know I'm being picky, but let's go back and figure out agent gallery, full agent. So maybe we can do, we'll do the agent gallery. So let's take and just print this out. So I'm always going to print 2 copies, one for them, one for me. And so we'll go here and do 2 copies. And when we print these out, these are going to be the comps we show them because we just need to quickly say, hey, look, these are some of the things that have sold, right? This one sold for this. This was the close price. It sat on the market X amount of days. We're just trying to paint a story and paint a picture for them as we show these comps. Same thing here. We can show this one went for 209. It gave a little bit of help back. This one over here was fully renovated. It went for 203 and had a similar layout to yours. So we'll use language like that, like similar layout to yours, and it'll make it feel like theirs is more like a 193. It at least brings the ability for them to understand that their house could be in the 100s. It doesn't have to be over 200 just because there's some things that probably sold on their block for, they've sold on their block for maybe 230, 240. They don't realize their house isn't quite as good as theirs. So we printed those out. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is, now that we have those done, is we will take and go into a budget and we'll create a budget to show them. Now, this is a quick budget. We don't have to go crazy, but we do this because the budget we're creating is going to be to show them the work we're going to put into the house. So I go in here, I always have a template I use, and I think any of these work. I pull this up, and let's take a quick look. We're going to run through and do a quick budget based on what we know. So this does not have to be super detailed, but decks and railings, I didn't see anything on the decks and railings from the video we had. Matt, did you see anything for decks and railings that we would need for out? Like a deck out back or anything needs work?
No, there's no deck out back.
Okay, and then how about the windows? Do we need all new windows, or what kind of condition are they in?
Yeah, we need all new windows.
All new windows, so we'll put about 4K for that. And remember, we can bump this up some, so they don't know that windows are 4K. So we can actually, if we want, we make it 5,500. Windows are something nobody's going to, say, oh, well, you can get those for 250. They don't really know. They don't know the deals we get. So this is an opportunity for us to bump this up and make it look like a little bit more. Now, paint exterior, we do need to paint exterior, right?
Yes.
Got it. So $1,000 is what we pay, but easily we can tell them that's $1,500. I'm not doing labor and materials. I'm just going to put everything and just call it like one easy number to keep it really simple. We can put 2,500 in for landscaping. I'm doing it simple because I don't want to take forever to knock all this down and really break it out. We don't need a fence, and is there any fence repairs or anything?
I don't believe so, no.
Is there a shed or a garage?
Yeah, there is a shed.
Does it need repairs?
so I don't know. I would
So
maybe leave
we're
some-
not sure. We leave it out because we don't want to. What we don't want to do is put things in they can argue over. So like we're like repair the shed, and they're like the shed's in great condition. What it'll do is it'll mess up our credibility. So anytime you're not sure, you think it's on the fence, then just don't put it. We can easily make these other things higher to make up for things we don't want to argue over. Curb appeal, simple. Every house needs that. Exterior woodwork. Framing, obviously, we're going to be redoing the layout of the house, so we can easily leave $2,000 in there. Demo, the house did have stuff in it, so yes, there will be demo. I think we can leave that at the $3K. Sheetrock repair, there was some sheetrock in the house. There's basement that needs to be a little bit redone down there, so I think we could leave that in. Doors, we can easily tell them we're replacing all the doors for $2,000. We can make that. The trim, we can tell them we're doing new trim in the house, which we are, and then we got $500 for the cabinets. We can just go $4,500 for the cabinets, get rid of everything. Reason why is people aren't going to, we do the cabinets cheaper, but they don't need to know our pricing. So even $150 in labor, we can say all new vanities is $1,500. Get rid of this. So we have here, we have tile backsplash. Yes, we're going to do it for $2,800, but I think it would be easy to say it's $4,100 to do tile throughout the whole house. Right. Again, they're not going to know all that. We do the paint for $2,200. We can go $3,100 on that. People, fully expect that. Doorknobs, we'll leave those alone. Towel bars and all that, we'll leave those alone. Hardwoods, we're at $2,500, but I do think this is an opportunity to be like 3,090, just some random number, just a little bit higher. We're adding a little bit to each thing so that we can make it really stand out as needing to be, there's work that needs to be done. So we got project management, 3,000. They're not going to question that. So we pay our project manager. Home inspections, we can put 500, pretty standard price. And then this is where things get really juicy because plumbing and all that. Well, again, we might pay 35, but I think that, electric, we can, I don't know exactly what we needed in there, but 3,900, we just say we got to bring everything up to code and make sure all the, wiring, plugs, switches and all that. Insulation, we don't really need to do. HVAC, 6,000. I think that's I think 7,200 would be easy. Well, no, actually we didn't need ducts. So we could put like 3,900 for the unit. We get that a lot cheaper, but I didn't see any waterproofing that was obvious. Termites, you'll just say for the treatment to make sure. We'll leave that alone. Actually, we're taking that out. You see how we're not going to mess around. So roof, we could always put 1,000 in just for repairs. No one's going to argue about repairs. Appliances, we got 2,200, but that's another one we could easily make 29 because that's what we pay for our appliances. That's something they're not going to argue. Same thing with granite. It's easy to make the granite another $500. Carpet, same thing, could be $3,200. Inspection repairs, no one's going to argue that. We didn't see any siding. Architect drawings, we could put 1,100 in for that because we say we need that for the permits. Well and septic, nothing like that. Staging, 2,400. Again, we don't need to give our pricing. So, we can, now this seems a little on the high end, so we don't want to go crazy and get them to fight us. So I would, easily we can put like 4K in here. So that's at 80K. That's a little bit high. I don't want them to argue it. So Matt, as we go back through, if the number seems like it's coming out a little high, what we want to do is go back through and see anything that might be argued with. So what in this do you think they might be like, that's a little bit high? So because if they even look at this, by the way, but we are always preparing that they're going to look at this in detail. So paint exterior, maybe we take that down to 1,200. We got landscaping. That sounds about right. Exterior doors. Okay, well, there you go. Why is exterior doors 2,500? So that was actually wrong. So I'm glad we came back and looked because that would have been argued for sure. We just threw $1,000 for that. We just made a mistake and must have flew past that one. Framing. I think that's fair because we do have to reframe some stuff in the basement, make a bedroom. So they're probably not going to argue that. Demo. You're going to take demo down to 2,100. Sheetrock, that might be a place they argue because there's really not a ton of sheetrock that's needed in the house. So let's take that down a little bit. Doors, trim, not going to really argue that. Kitchen cabinets, I don't think they're going to argue that because that's definitely going to be something that's about standard pricing for a retail person. I mean, you could spend even more than $4,500. The reason we get them so cheap is we don't buy special order stuff. So cabinets can double and triple in price just by picking slightly better cabinets. And this might be good to get it in the threes, maybe 3,600. So there's no argument there. And then paint interior, we got 31. Let's bring that down to like 26. So again, we're keeping everything very reasonable. Hardwood floors, that's like an easy price. That's not going to be any problem. And now if we go through, let's see where we are. Now we're down to 75. Based on what we're trying to accomplish, we don't even know what that is. Let's take a quick look. Let's run the numbers here and see where we actually want to be, because that would be a nice start. So in our deal analyzer, if we do 215, me and Matt know that it's 55K in work. Let's see that. I know that doesn't work, but okay, that's too high. So let's try like 91, see where that puts us. Okay, that 91 puts us about where we need to be. And let's just see. So right now it says from 200 to 250, we want to go 70% of Mayo. So it looks like we can offer a little more, and we're going to put 5 months, so that's helpful. So maybe we can go to 96 on this. Does that look about right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether I would go quite that high, but
I mean, that's 33K. I mean, that's like in that area, that's the deal that you probably, we could always, so the fact that we're doing this, we could easily offer, we know 96 is our max privately, but we can easily go in and just be like 91 and leave some room to negotiate. So and 91 would be a very good deal on this, by the way. And we don't want to go crazy and offer too low because we take the risk of not getting the deal. Now, you know, we can go, now this would be a very sweet deal, by the way. So this is under what our criteria says we should buy at. So we could come in at 91. So knowing that 91 is going to be our first offer, what we want to do in our sheet that we're going to create is solve for 91K. So I think that 91, let's start to run the numbers. And so we've got some things saved here. Let's look at this. We've got this sitting right now at 75K in work. Okay, let's leave this at 75K and save this for now. We can adjust it later. And it was 7809. Okay, hold on. What am I saving? I'm not trying to save that. Oh, let me get rid of that. This is what I was trying to save. Let me save over my other one. So
maybe take the staging out of there.
I think we're okay at 75. What we're going to do is go start doing our sheet. If we need it to be lower, we'll come back and adjust it. Is it 7809 or 7908?
7908. And one thing that was not on there, which is truly, you know, going to be a cost that they can't argue with us. I don't know whether you want to add it or change it, but there's definitely going to be some hauling, some trash hauling that needs to get done in there. You know,
well, we have demo in there, so I assume demo was trash hauling. We've got like 3K for that or something. I think so. We're okay. Let's take a look, but I'm pretty sure we do have that in there. Demo, we got 2100 for demo, so I think that's fine. I mean, we're pretty high at 75K right now. I think that's going to easily get us to where we need to be. So let's leave these two things to the side, and let me pull up our sheet that we use right now. And this sheet, the purpose of this sheet, again, there's many times where I have this sheet and I don't even use it. So I just want you to know that. But when we do things, we come prepared, but it doesn't necessarily mean we'll need it. So what we're doing here is we take our comparables, right? These are, funny enough, one of our comparables is Oak, and we put our 3 comparables in, and then we put average comps. So let's start with that, and let's figure out what our comparables were. See if we got the MLS up still. So we'll go back to the matrix, and then we know we have, so this was comparable number 1. Copy and paste that. That went for 212. So we'll come back. Let's get rid of that. And then what we're going to do here is just come into here, and we can, we don't need the whole address, but probably going to make it a little bit long. Copy and paste it in there. Get rid of this stuff. We don't need all the extras. And we can put this one was at 212. So 212. Right, so we're going to do this on all 3. Takes a second, but again, this is totally worth the effort. And let's just go back and get to MLS. Now, property number 2 will be this Buckingham Avenue, or Birmingham Avenue. Command C, that went for 209 minus 70, so that's a 201 net. So let's go ahead and throw that in now. 201 for Birmingham. Start with this. And come over here. We're going to mess with this a little bit. It is in Word, so you do have to kind of like line things up a little better. You can see how we want them lined up next to it if possible, but we're just roughly putting it in right now while we're doing what we're doing so we can get this, and we'll clean it up and make it look nice. We come down to here's our third comp was Oak, and Oak actually netted. List price went for 203 minus 10. So that's 193. So again, we'll put 193 in there. 193. Let's see. Sorry, let's go back. 193. And come over here and do 193. By the way, the average comp does not actually have to be the average of these three, but it is pretty easy to average these three. And I think we would be at like, I don't know, 200 and 2,000, something like that. I think that's a fair number to give them because that is considerably under where we want to be. So where we actually are. And I think if we bring these up, we should be lined up good. Let's see, kind of lined up good. Maybe we can go up one. That's pretty close. Actually, these are lined up nicely. Let's see if we bring it up one. I think it's lined up better. And so there we go. Now you see how we have these lined up next to each other. Kind of. It's crap. Hold on. We can move this whole thing a little. Really line it up. It's a little tricky, so don't worry about being perfect. That's going to be good enough. We'll call that a day. And then average comp 202, we want to make that one more zero in there. So now what we do is we're going to come into some of these, and we'd like all these to line up if possible. So it's kind of like a line item. And this is not the number one thing ever done that I've ever done because it's not perfect. But I'll tell you, when I use this as a presentation tool, it does the job. So let's move this up a little bit. There we go. Now see we have the renovation cost. Now where were our renovation costs coming in at? It was like 75. So we'll just put 75 in here. And then Matt, if you have a calculator, how we usually do this, now we can completely make these numbers up, but we want them to be fairly real. They don't have to be perfect. So I just put in that our first settlement cost is going to be 5,000 and something, settlement 70 some hundred, seller help 5K. All these things are very real. And then we got $9,000 in holding costs. We've got realtor costs at like 16. So we go, what's realtor cost? 6% of 200,000 is more like 12,000. So we'll just change that to be more accurate. Holding costs we can put down to like 5,000. Seller help, we'll make that 2,500. And then all we're doing is we're going to just add this up. Then you got basically settlement to 7,500. These are all fair settlement costs. These should definitely add up. So we have purchase price 150. Our purchase price we're shooting for is 91. So this is where some math comes in. We have to like make this all work out, even though most people don't actually look for it. We have to make this all work a little bit. So total buying cost would be this. So let's take a look. Matt, can you add up 75K? The 75K to 5365, 7,500, 2,500. Add up all the costs from the average, or basically from the 75K, all these costs, and get a total buying cost. Got it. Would be purchase price too. Got it. And then the 91 will be the last thing to add up. And I'll change these while you're doing that. This takes about 15, 20 minutes to do usually. Even if it took you a half hour, this is a really helpful tool.
So before the 91, we're at 108,950.
Got it. So put the 91 in because that's what we're purchasing it for. $199,950. Okay, so our total cost is $199,950. So what is our issue right now? If we're showing this as our math, right, it's looking like we're making 3K profit. Obviously we want to make our profit. I always like my profit to be between 15 to 20K because no one will ever argue that you should make 15 to 20K to do all the work. I don't want it to be at 30 because then it gets a little higher and it gets a little more enticing, but also I don't want it to be at 5 to 10 because then it's very unrealistic that like, why would I be doing this for $3,000 bucks? So we know that our numbers are really tight on this. So where we need to take this down is, I think we could just get rid of seller help and put 0. That's helpful. So we take that. I think we could take this down to, so we don't have an argument, we could take this down to 65, because it is actually 65 would be 10K higher than what we normally do. So if we do it now, Matt, how much does that help us? If you want to redo it one time, because I think now we're only 10K over our real price. We're about 10K, and we could take this up to 205, Matt, by the way. So what we're doing, we have plenty of room so people don't argue. If 205 with the comps, we're basically going to say, like, here's all your comps, and we even think we can get a little more, even though other people have it, right? There's no argument here. We easily should be able to fight 205 to 210. So we'll put the number and it works. So where's this set us at if we do it this way? So
187, 450.
All right, 187, 450, 187, 450. Now, 187, 450 minus 205. What's that put us at?
$17,550.
So this becomes pretty real, right? I mean, 17,550. Now we got a number that's fair. Okay, we don't got to get rich on these, but, like, you know, we can show some real numbers that I don't think they're going to argue any of these. So this now is complete. Anything you see, let's blow it up so we can take a look at it, but make sure it's lined up pretty good. I would say that in general, it seems lined up a little bit, maybe about 1 notch. Okay, so when we take that down 1 notch, that is better because everything's lining up a little nicer. Well, kind of. Everything seems a little low here. So maybe we can take that up 1. Got it. So say we're just trying to line them up the best we can. We're not going to be able to get this perfect, but in general, people can see what's going on. And we really, most of this, they're going to look at it, but they don't usually pay attention. They pay attention to, like, one thing, this purchase price, which, by the way, needs to come down. Let's just move that down some. There we go. That's helpful. That's coming down some. That goes back up 1. You see how I'm trying to line them up a little bit? And it looks like everything's pretty lined up now. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but, you know, average comp 205. When you look at this, does this make sense? Because, see, this is going to be for the analytical people. I've had multiple times where I've had this in my package and I never showed it to anyone. They don't care. But when they do care, we have it. We're prepared to really be persuasive and show our point. And we're not really, again, we're not lying to them, because 205, like, on a bad day, we could get 205. And same thing on the restoration costs. On a bad day, we could spend 65. So we're just not being aggressive. You know, we're giving them our more conservative numbers to make sure that we're protected in our offer. So knowing that on a bad day, if we were to hit both of those numbers wrong, we would only actually make 17.5. I mean, that's some real stuff. That's what really is going on. If on a good day, we're able to keep this to 55 and get 215, then, you know, we're going to make more like 30K, you know, 35K even potentially. So these numbers look good to me. What I'll do then is save this now as this address. And let's just save it, and then we're going to print this out so we're prepared later. And 7908, 7908. Oops, this area I don't need any help.
Also, those the comps on there need to be cleaned up.
The comps need to be cleaned up? Why?
Yeah, you have
Oh.
You see that there?
Oh,
You
yeah.
have the
Got
same
it.
comp listed twice.
Awesome. And let's fix that, because let's go back to the comps and figure out. So I'm glad you've seen that. So that is the last piece of this, would be to go and double check everything. Also, the budget, we need to go back and bring it down to 65. So let's go back to our comparables, which were here. So Oak Avenue was the last one. Looks like I copied and pasted too, funny enough, and it didn't actually copy and paste over. Well, I see that I tried to copy at least. Let's see. And let's go back down here, and that was our third comp at 193. Okay, and for some reason we have a highlight on this. Very odd. Don't know what the heck is going on. No color, maybe. Okay, well, whatever. We'll leave it that way. It's not that big of a deal, so I'm not going to fight, but I don't know why I got a blue highlight, but That is what it is. I'm not worried about that. It looks fine. And I think we're good on this now. Do you see everything? Let's double check it. We got our comps look correct. They're in the right place. The average comp looks good. Reservation cost. We got some money for settlements. No seller help just to kind of keep it legit. I mean, these are getting pretty out of line, so I'm just going to move that down a little. And then holding cost, this all looks like it lined up better. Purchase price is lined up nicely now. Everything, the net income could go up one, just so we can get it a little more lined up. I'm thinking this looks pretty good. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so save. And let's go ahead and print this. Again, 2 copies. So like it all fits on one page nicely. Is that printer working down there? Hey, Delonte, can you check the printer and make sure these are printing? I'm saving them anyhow, but I'm going to make sure I'm actually printing out. So that's our thing. The only thing now we have to print out, because we printed out our comps, we printed out this sheet, and the only thing we have to print out now would be, let's go back to that budget that was like at 75 or 70. Let's go find that real quick, because I think we saved that in our project management docs. Let's go to budget templates, and let's see where we put it. Okay, hold on. Budgets. Oh, this ain't it. Hold on, let's find. What the heck did we do with it? House budgets and charters is where we put it, and we just did it, but let's look for it. And it was 7908. Aiken, here we go. Pop that up so you can see it. We're gonna hopefully get that to pop up. So we'll try to get this going. Some reason's not opening, but let's see. Give it a second. We do have about 9 Excel sheets open, so that's probably why. Be my guess. Sometimes on Macs they act a little funny. Here we go. There's Aiken right there. We don't. That's why it won't open. So Aiken, we decided we wanted the final to be at 75. We can easily take the contingency out. We don't really have to have a contingency in. So that can just get rid of that. That gives us 4K. Right, so now we put that out. We're at 71. We're trying to get down to 60. So we could just take this to 41. Whoops. Got down to 800. We'll just start taking some numbers off to make this look a little bit better. 33. Oops, not 33,000, 3,300. Any other place they might argue is what we're looking for. Appliances, maybe 24. Let's keep looking. We're down. Oh, we're down to 70, so we're getting there. Let's keep looking and see. We have project management. We can make 1,500. Again, they don't care about that. That's there if we need it. It's one of those things that if we put it in or didn't put it in, they wouldn't really argue either way. But if we needed more money, we could easily put it in. But the fact we need to get our money down, we can take it out. Kitchen cabinets, we'll make 4,000 instead. Doors, yeah, let's make that 1,500, 1,200 for the trim. You see, we're just messing with the numbers a little bit to try to get down to 65. We're pretty close now. We just need about $1,800 more dollars. Windows. So let's just make that 4,900. Paint exterior 1,200. Make that 1,200 actually is the real number. I don't want to make it cheaper than it really is. Make that like 800. Thing is, I don't ever want the number to be lower than what it really is, so we don't want to go cheaper. Even when we're trying to do this with the sheetrock again, I think is, let's just do that and let's see where we are. I think we're pretty close. There we go. I think we're good. Let's go and add $300 to sheetrock. So sheetrock, where's that at again? Let's get back to it.
You're right there.
Am I missing it? Oh, perfect. Okay, got it. Sheetrock 2,200. We'll make that 2,600 and we'll be good. So now we're sitting at 6508. It looks very legitimate. It is very legitimate, by the way. This is, again, if things go over budget, this could happen. It would be nice to change the address out here, personalize it to 7908.
Yep.
AI. KKN 21234. So just having that there is helpful because they know it's for their property. It's not just a random budget. Okay, let's go ahead and now save this as is and where it is, and then we got that in the budgets and we're good. And we're going to print this out now. We'll place it. Command P. We again need 2 copies of this. This is 4 pages, but let's see what these 4 pages are. I don't know if we need all 4 of these. Yep, so I'm glad we looked at this because we really just need page 1 and 2. So let's see if it'll allow us to do all. Let's go range. Let's go range actually. Range from I guess 1 to 2. 2. Now let's look at it. Okay, now we're printing just what we need, nothing more, because I would have been printing a bunch of extra pages. So let's do 2 copies of that. And here we go. Now we've got a budget if they want to see that. So we really need to get down to business. We can really get down to business on this. We can, I would personally start with just telling them the numbers, and then if they need any proof, I usually start with showing the comps, saying, hey, this is what things are selling for. Do you know these houses? Do these look, how does your house compare to those? And I try to get their feedback. How does your house compare with those? And then I just try to come to an agreement on that number. If they're okay with that 205, then we move down to, okay, well, here's the work we're going to put in. These are all the things we need to do to get it up to looking in that condition. And then they look at that. If they agree with it, they're just like, yeah, that sounds about right. I was thinking it was 65, or they're like, I was thinking it was 55. I was like, well, I got a really detailed budget. If you like to look over it, we can run over it, and just let me know if you see anything that looks like it's out of line. I'd love to, just share that with me. Maybe we can adjust some. So if they really are like stuck on the 55, then I'll literally sit there with them and walk through the budget and just get them to either agree or disagree with things in the budget. Because I can adjust the budget, I can not adjust it. I think most of the time I could probably tell them why we need that and explain to them, and then we don't have to adjust it. But I would say 90% of the time they're just going to say, yeah, 65, I guess that makes sense. That's close enough. And if they really want to go through details, we'll go through details because I'm prepared, right? That's why we want to be prepared with the full budget. And then after that, after we've agreed on comps and we've agreed on the renovation costs, then we hit them with our sheet. And let's see if we still got that up. Then we hit them with our sheet right here and say, based on all these things we agreed upon, here's our average comp, as we said, our 65K in renovation costs. Now, when we buy the property from you, there's going to be some closing costs we have to pay. And then when we sell it again, we're going to have to pay closing costs. And then also we have some holding costs, obviously, BG&E, cutting the grass. So, we do borrow the money, so we have some money costs. And then when we sell it, we're going to have to pay a realtor to sell it for us. That's traditionally what a realtor costs, north of 6%. And with that in mind, we'd be able to offer you 91K, which basically means that between all our closing costs, our renovation costs, and buying it for 91K puts us in at 187 total investment into your property. Now, we think we're going to sell it for 205. That just leaves us 17.5. Now, if obviously if you were flipping a house, I'm assuming we're in this business to make a little bit of money. So does that seem like a fair amount of money? And if I can get them to agree that sounds like a fair amount of money, then we're almost always good on every other thing. Because if they agree that 17.5 is a fair amount of money to make, then they have to agree to all this other stuff that led to it. And that's really the key. So I always use what's called a leading question, and it's called an anchor / like NLP stuff like seeding. So I'm like, if you were flipping a house, investing $187,000 for 6 months and taking the risk that we take, you'd agree that 17.5 is a fair amount to make, wouldn't you? And if they say yes, then I got them locked in. So based on that, the 91K offer, we're kind of breaking the numbers down. Does that work for you? And I asked that question specifically because if they say it works for me, then I'm going to pull the paperwork out and say, oh, that's awesome. When would you like to settle? And they tell me that. Then these are 2 questions that if I get yeses to, then I just pull the paperwork out and fill it out. I assume the close at that point. I don't have to say, would you want to sell it to us? I don't have to say any of those things. If they say I want to close in 3 weeks and I agree that 91K is a fair offer, then there's nothing more than saying, all right, well, let me get the paperwork together and we'll get it set up for 2 weeks from now. And that's essentially how we close. But these tools are really good because they give us the data we need. But keep in mind, I don't use any of these tools unless necessary. I just come completely prepared. Now, the last thing that we need, and we're going to go ahead and print that out for today, is we need a contract. So let's do that. And let's make sure we have that, because that is everything we want to go with. The last thing you want to do is get there and they say yes to everything, and we do not have contracts. So that is not a cool way to do business, because I've had that happen before, by the way. So it's not unreal that we'd have no contract. So let's see where our purchase of contract is. Actually, I might have to find it.
Yeah, also another thing on this one, I don't think they're under the impression that we're going to pay all of their closing costs.
Well, and I didn't say that either, by the way. So I literally just said closing costs. I didn't, we will have some closing costs. I put in all of our contracts that will split, and if they say anything, then we can always make that change. I always, because I have a good, thing around that. If they say, hey, well, why don't you pay all of it? I'll say, look, well, the title company works for both of us. It usually is in your best interest that we split it so that they represent both of us equally. Wouldn't you agree? And if they say yes, then we're good to go. And most times they say yes. So we're going to find the purchase. I want to make sure I get the right purchase contract. So just for purposes of this video, we'll end it. I think this is everything you need to know on the presentation.